Hi, sixth graders. This is your January book talk, as you can see on the screen, and I am here to talk to you about some new books for the new year. I hope that you're already reading something great, but if not, this should, I hope, give you some new ideas of uh, books to add to your list. And maybe you're even thinking about it being the new year and thinking about new reading habits, a new goal that you have for yourself, whether it be that you'd like to read a certain number of books or pages per week or per month or in the new year, right, in 2021. I was reading the other day about someone who thought they might want to try and read 21 minutes per day because it's the year 2021. And I thought that seemed like a really manageable goal, a good one to try just because 21 minutes, even if you're reading for 3 or 4 minutes at a time, if you're not sitting down for a full, 21 minutes at once, you could still manage that goal in a day pretty easily. So if you're already thinking about a goal, great. If not, I'd encourage you to think about something in terms of your own reading as you push yourself here in the second half of the school year. Before we get into the books today, I hope this is just a reminder coming at you from our announcements, and maybe your advisory teacher has talked about this, but our Read Club meeting in the month of February is going to be a Hogwarts escape room. And I hope that you'll plan to join us even if you haven't had a chance to do so before. We're going to be meeting on Wednesday, February 10th. There will be some information on Schoology in your sixth grade Schoology class page with details, the Zoom link, the time, all of that. But in 30 minutes or less, we're going to try to escape Hogwarts. If you're a Harry Potter fan, this would be perfect for you. But honestly, even if you don't know much about Harry Potter, I think we could use your help because it's really puzzles and lots of logic and that kind of thing. We'd love to see you there. Even if you haven't been a part of Read Club yet, if you haven't been able to make one of the meetings, please plan on joining us and send me a message on Schoology if you would like to know more. Our first book today is written in that verse style. So we know that this style of writing is more poetry than prose. Less paragraph. It isn't necessarily rhyming in this way, but Jasmine Warga has written Other Words for Home, and it is written in almost this poetic style. So if I could show you how big this book is, it really isn't even as long as it looks because there's so much white space on the pages with it being in this poetry style. This story is about a girl named Jude who never thought she would have to be leaving her family members, some of them, behind in Syria. But she leaves her older brother and her dad in Syria when things in Syria, in her hometown, become pretty violent. There's a lot of unrest going on. There's some war happening in her hometown and in some of the surrounding areas. And so, due to that, and in an effort to become safe, she leaves with her mother, and really they're actually sent to live in, of all places, Cincinnati, Ohio, to live with some relatives. And so she goes to live with, I believe it's an aunt and uncle and cousin that she goes to stay with. At first, everything in America just seems fast and loud. For anyone who has moved to somewhere new, in particular, if you've moved, I would assume, from somewhere else to the United States, America has a very fast pace. Everything is loud and quick, and everything that Jude thought she was going to experience in America from what she'd seen in American television and movies, things are just not quite what she thought it was going to be. And anyway, this is about her adjustment to living in the United States, making new friends, kind of becoming a part of a new family, right, with her cousin's family, missing her brother and her dad at home, worrying about them, but really kind of coming to terms with who she's going to be now here. Other Words from Home, written in this beautiful poetic style. This story just moves along at a great clip. Try this one out by Jasmine Warga. If you're looking for a funny story, this is written by a local author, Pete Houtman. He's got lots of books. This one is written about a kid who has gotten himself into some trouble because he has racked up over $2,000 on his mom's credit card without her knowing about it. You'll have to read the book to find out exactly what he spent that money on and how he did it. But the way he is going to get that money back is kind of creative. He's not old enough to have a job to make the money. What he has a talent for is eating. The book is called Slider, and you can see on the front cover that it's covered in these little sliders, these little hamburgers that are called sliders. David can eat an entire 16-inch pepperoni pizza in 4 minutes and 36 seconds by himself. Wow. So he can do that, and that's great, but he's going to have to be able to eat even faster than that if he's going to make the money he needs in the Super Pigorino Bowl, the world's greatest pizza eating contest, and win the prize money. It's a food eating competition because he needs that money to pay off his mom's credit card before she finds out that he's done this. So this is a story of a kid who has gotten himself in trouble, and it's going to get to be bigger trouble if he doesn't win the contest and fast. And the way to get better at eating fast is to eat a lot. There's a lot of gross scenes in this book because sometimes when you're practicing eating quickly, things don't always sit in your stomach as they should. So that's pretty disgusting. Along with that, you're going to see some interesting things happen with the main character and his two best friends as he's trying to win this competition. It's just a really funny book, and you've got to wait and find out how poor David tries to make this happen. Slider by Pete Houtman. Try this one out. Planet Middle School by Nikki Grimes. This is another one that's written in that novel as a novel in verse, so written as poems. This book is incredibly quick. It's a very skinny book, as is. This is perfect for sixth graders in particular because it is about that transition between elementary school and middle school. And you guys know that better than anybody because you're living it right now. Our main character, Jolynn, she has felt like for her, 11 to 12 years here that she's been, around, life has been just fine. A game of basketball has always put a smile on her face. She's had lots of good friends, guys and girls alike. Well, now one of her guy friends, who's always been kind of a best friend to her, is starting to sort of date one of her girlfriends, and she doesn't know how she feels about that. It's not that she really has a crush on her guy friend, but at the same time, she doesn't really want him dating her girlfriend either. So that's all kind of weird. Being in school, all of a sudden getting A's and B's is not as easy as it was when she was in fifth grade. And she actually has to work pretty darn hard to get good grades. You guys know what that's like. There's just all kinds of things going on. Even being a part of basketball, playing ball is a big part of her life. That's always been fun. It's always kind of come easy to her. Well, now there's a lot of kids who are really good at ball, and she's having to work harder at that. This is just about that middle school experience and how going from elementary school to middle school is an adjustment. And it's written in that, again, those poems, not rhyming, but in just that way that's just going to flow really nicely. And Nikki Grimes, she just writes fantastic stuff. Try this one out if you are feeling like, especially now, you guys are cemented in middle school. She just nails it. She knows what it's like to be in middle school, and you are going to read this and feel like, holy cow, she's got this down. Flight 116 is Down by Caroline Cooney in the adventure section. This story has kind of an interesting format because it's written a little bit almost like a movie script, where you almost feel like you're behind the camera watching what's going on, and you have so many characters that you're keeping track of throughout the story. It's mostly focused on two characters, Heidi and Patrick. Um, Heidi's out walking one of her dogs when something incredible happens. A plane, as you can see, crashes in a field kind of back behind where uh, Heidi's family has their house. So this plane crashes. She's walking her dog. She can't believe it. She has this moment of thinking, what do I do? Right? She's kind of frozen, doesn't know how to respond. She, for the first time in her life, sort of decides she's going to actually like go and take care of things. She's going to go and find out what she needs to do to help instead of just standing there and waiting for other people to do something. Patrick is training to be an EMT, an emergency medical technician. So he's learning the field. He's 17 years old. He's trying to figure out, what it would be like to actually respond to emergencies. So he's one of the first people on the scene as well. He's there helping some of the passengers who are on the plane who have crashed. Some of the passengers live, some do not. And actually, in the way that this book is told, you actually get to meet some of the passengers in the story. You actually get to find out where they were going on this plane. You get to learn a little bit about their lives. And as I said, some of them live, some of them don't. This is sort of a tough book to tell you about. You kind of have to pick it up and read it because of the way that the story is told and this narrative style. So part of the story is sort of told almost as a flashback. The plane crashes, but then you get a chance to go back and meet some of the passengers who were on the plane and find out exactly what was going on that plane before it crashed. And you meet each passenger a little bit and find out what their fate is. At the same time, Heidi and Patrick, since they're two of the people to show up to help, you get to find out how this event impacts them as well. Full of adventure and suspense. You're wondering how things are going to turn out for people. It's a great read. Caroline Cooney knows how to write a story with a lot of adventure to it. Check this one out if you like a book that is just going to really kind of make you think, and it's going to make you ask yourself the question, what would I do if I were to see something like this happen? How would I respond to an emergency like this? I've read this book a couple of times over the years. I'm still not sure how I would respond in an emergency like this. Trapped Between the Lash and the Gun by Arvella Whitmore. This story is such an unusual one, and one that I cannot forget, even though I read it, probably 12 to 15 years ago now. It's in historical fiction, even though part of the story takes place in present day. Jordan lives in Chicago, present day Chicago. He has made the decision, or I should say he's trying to make the decision, about whether or not to join a gang. His older brother's part of the Cobras, and Jordan's chance to join the Cobras has come up. They've decided to give Jordan a gun, and they've given Jordan a job to do with that gun. And if Jordan does the job with the gun and he succeeds, then he gets to be part of the Cobras as well. Jordan has the intention to join the gang, but he does have some questions in his mind. That's where the story begins. From there, Jordan also has been given this school assignment to do something with a historical, looking back in history a little bit. And in doing so, he finds his grandfather's watch, a pocket watch, like you see on the cover of the book. Jordan's grandfather's pocket watch, when he holds it in his hand, the hands of the watch begin to spin, and it takes Jordan back in time to the time of his ancestors. It's way back in the 19th century when Jordan's grandfather experienced life as a slave during the time of the Civil War. Jordan gets to experience life as his grandfather did. And the story bounces you back and forth between Jordan's life in Chicago, trying to decide if he's going to do something with the gun as almost a member of this gang, and if he's also bouncing back in time to the era of slavery. This story is unforgettable as Jordan experiences both time periods, trapped, as it says here, between the lash, meaning the lash of the whip as a slave, and the gun. I can't recommend this book enough. It is so thought-provoking. It is absolutely a book for anyone who's ever felt torn in making a difficult choice, because Jordan is certainly in that spot. And the last book I'm sharing with you today is called Forget Me Not by Ellie Terry. One of the quotes from this book on the slide is, "Sometimes life is good, and sometimes it smashes you with a hammer." I think that sums up this story, but I'm also going to let the book trailer tell you a little bit more.
It would be nice to stay in one place, long enough to make a best friend. To keep a best friend. But every time Mom breaks up with one of her silly boyfriends, it's grab the keys, pack the car, hit the road, don't look back. She doesn't seem to understand how hard it is for me to start over. New school, new neighbors, new group of strangers watching me tick. They didn't used to be so bad. The ticks, I mean. Just simple stuff like twitching my nose, tensing my arms, humming quietly to myself. Now that I'm 12, my Tourette's is a lot harder to hide. But I have to try, because who knows? Maybe this time things will work out? Maybe this time we'll stay right here, long enough for me to fill the gaping hole inside my heart. The gaping hole where a friend should go.
If you want to learn more about a character who is dealing with Tourette's syndrome, or even just loving those books where someone has something about them that makes them unique and makes them feel like they have a hard time fitting in, then I'd highly recommend Forget Me Not by Ellie Terry. I hope one of the books I shared today is one that you'll add to your 2021 reading list. But even if there are none of these that really did that for you, then I hope you will go back to the Destiny Discover library catalog button on the library homepage and you'll do some more shopping. We've got all the new book fair books listed there for you now, and we have all those collections that you can do some shopping and browsing with. And like always, you can always reach out on Schoology to me or to Miss Kump, and we'd be happy to put together a book bundle for you or just recommend some things. If there are books or authors or series that you want to know more about, that is why we are here. Thanks so much for listening, and happy reading.